settle in, lean close. Let me take you on a ride through the world of Zootopia 2, 2025, as if whispering the secrets behind the screen, because what unfolds is not just a sequel, but a wild plunge into mystery, emotion, and a city on the edge, with danger lurking where you'd least expect it. From the bright streets and hopeful dreams that closed the first film, Zootopia has changed. And so have its police partners, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. Their first glory days as heroes, chasing down a citywide case, gave them fame, but also fatigue. Their dynamic, once seamless, is now frayed. Their personalities, Judy's relentless idealism and Nick's roguish pragmatism, start to clash under pressure. Mistakes mount, trust falters, and things reach a breaking point. Their superpower team dynamic falters. To salvage it, the leadership sends them to a Partners in Crisis therapy program run by a quirky quokka therapist, Dr. Fuzby. It's awkward, uncomfortable, even absurd, but necessary. Already the undercurrents of doubt and frustration between them tug at the foundation of their relationship, threatening to unravel everything. But just as they're supposed to be reconciling, just as they might begin to rebuild trust, a new shadow slithers into town. Enter Gary the Snake, a pit viper and Zootopia's first snake resident, a shocking anomaly in a city built on mammals. His arrival doesn't just stir murmurings, it cracks open old fears, prejudices, and unsettling questions. Who is he? What does he want? And why has Zootopia been snake-free for so long? Gary brings charm, cunning, and secrets. His presence is a mystery that threatens the peaceful tapestry of Zootopia's society. Suddenly, Judy and Nick are forced back together, not as mismatched partners strained by resentment, but as detectives on a twisting trail. They dive into parts of Zootopia no citizen has seen, dark corners, hidden districts, new neighborhoods, including a marsh market and districts rumored to be reptile-friendly. They go undercover, adopt false identities, step into cultures unlike their own. The city feels bigger now, teeming with species and secrets, more vibrant and more dangerous than ever. Undercover nights, coded whispers, shed snakeskin, suspicious shadows. Every clue pulses with risk, and every risk demands that Judy and Nick learn to trust each other again. As the mystery deepens, the film doesn't just become a chase for a villain, it becomes a journey into the heart of identity, fear, and acceptance. Gary isn't just a criminal, he's a symbol. In a city built around mammals, a reptile's arrival stirs everything hidden: bigotry, hidden prejudice, mistrust. Zootopia, once a shining beacon of harmony, now shows cracks. And Judy and Nick, once protectors of that harmony, must confront the ugliness lurking beneath. Their mission is not just about catching one snake, but about defending what the city claims to stand for: unity in diversity, respect for every creature, even if society has trained some to fear the other. Meanwhile, the pressure on Judy and Nick isn't only external. Their own friendship, their ideals, their trust, internal conflicts swirl. They must relearn how to listen, to compromise, to believe in each other. The therapy sessions with Dr. Fuzby are awkward, emotional, sometimes humorous, sometimes raw. In those moments, we see not just heroes, but flawed beings, afraid, resentful, unsure. And that vulnerability becomes their greatest strength, because only by admitting their fears, acknowledging mistakes, and opening up can they hope to stand united again. The climax, shrouded in danger, tension, and high stakes, pulls them into a final confrontation. Truths exposed, alliances tested, judgments challenged. Gary's schemes, twisted, old-seated, built on prejudice and fear, threaten more than the safety of the city. They threaten its soul. The fate of Zootopia hangs in balance, and through smoke and shadows, Judy and Nick have to choose, run away or stand together. Their choice won't just decide their friendship, but the future of every inhabitant of Zootopia. Zootopia 2 is more than a sequel. It's a mirror, one that reflects fears we bury, biases we ignore, and the painful work of learning to trust across differences. It's a mystery filled with thrills and humor, but at its core, a story of redemption, growth, and the power of partnership. For fans of the first film, expect familiar heart, but also expect something deeper, darker, more real. For new viewers, get ready to enter a city alive with wonder, but also fraught with consequences. In the end, when the credits roll, the question won't just be who did it, but who do we want to be? And if you've ever wondered what happens when heroes, flawed, tired, human as fur, are forced to face both external monsters and their own inner demons, well, buckle up. Because Zootopia 2 is not just a ride, it's a reckoning. All right, lean in again, because now we turn the spotlight from the story to the voices behind the creatures of Zootopia 2, 2025, the souls who breathe life into its streets, alleys, and hidden corners. Let me introduce you to the main characters and the actors whose voices carry their hopes, fears, wit, and heart. So you'll hear every nuance, every quiet glance, every thunderous moment in your mind as if you were right there beside them. At the core stand the two whose partnership anchors the entire film, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. Judy Hopps, once again voiced by Jennifer Goodwin, returns as the ever-optimistic, brave rabbit cop whose courage and idealism have always driven her forward. Her voice carries her compassion, her determination, and, in the sequel, a deeper vulnerability as she navigates new challenges with her partner. Opposite her is Nick Wilde, the sly fox detective voiced by Jason Bateman, whose smooth charm, street-smart wit, and underlying loyalty make him the perfect counterpart. Their chemistry remains a highlight. Nick's sarcasm, wit, and heart of gold, balanced by Judy's relentless belief that everyone deserves a chance, together giving the film its emotional and moral core. But Judy and Nick are not alone. Enter Gary DeSnake, a mysterious pit viper, whose arrival in Zootopia shakes the very foundations of the city's social order. Gary is voiced by Ke-Huy Quan, the Oscar-winning actor whose performance brings layers of intrigue, surprise, and empathy to a character who at first seems destined to be villainous, but might also challenge what Zootopia believes about others. His scales hide secrets, his words stir fear and curiosity, and through Ke-Huy Quan's voice, Gary becomes a catalyst for a story that asks big questions about acceptance, identity, and fear of the unfamiliar. Supporting them are a constellation of voices that expand the world and deepen the emotional and comedic stakes. There is Dr. Fuzby, the quokka therapist whose sessions with Judy and Nick aim to patch cracks in their partnership, voiced by Quinta Brunson, bringing warmth, humor, and surprising insight. Then there is Nibbles Maplestick, a beaver whose quirky personality and sharp comedy, voiced by Fortune Feimster, add a lively and unpredictable energy to the mystery at the heart of the film. On the side of order and law enforcement, familiar faces return. Chief Bogo, the Cape Buffalo police chief, whose weighty presence is given gravitas by Idris Elba, reminding us of the serious stakes behind the jokes and chases, and voices like Gazelle, the pop star turned cultural icon, remain, with Shakira returning to lend her charisma, star power, and soulful tone to a character who symbolizes hope, unity, and expression in Zootopia's world. Beyond them, a rich tapestry of creatures, from a veteran goat officer Bushran, voiced by John Reno, to members of influential families like the Lynxes, including Catrick Linksley and Kitty Linksley, voiced by Macaulay Culkin and Brenda Song respectively. All add distinct voices and personalities to the sprawling metropolis. Each actor brings nuance, humor, tension, or heart, reminding us that Zootopia isn't just a city of predators and prey, but a city of individuals, full of stories, contradictions, dreams. What makes this cast truly compelling, and why the film's voiceover becomes a tapestry rather than just a background, is the way familiarity and surprise blend. The returning voices of Goodwin, Bateman, Elba, Shakira, and others ground us in the world we loved. Their presence is a promise. We know these streets, but the newcomers, Ke Huy Quan, Quinta Brunson, Fortune Feimster, Jean Reno, Macaulay Culkin, Brenda Song, throw the doors wide open, shaking the foundation, challenging what we think we know about Zootopia and its boundaries. In short, Zootopia 2 packs a cast that does more than just talk. They embody a city's soul, its fears, its hopes, its humor. They make us care about a rabbit and a fox, a snake, a beaver, a goat, a lynx, because through voice and performance, they become real, flawed, courageous, loving, conflicted. They make us believe that in a city of millions, every voice matters. So as the credits roll and you step back from the screen, remember the voices behind the fur, the scales, the spots. Remember their laughter, their doubts, their whispers. Because in Zootopia 2, the real magic isn't just in the animation or the story. It's in the hearts that beat behind every character, and in the actors who dared to give those hearts a voice. Let me draw the curtain back. Walk with me into the deeper layers of Zootopia 2, 2025, and let me whisper to you the beating heart under all the color and chaos, the weighty truths this world of fur, scales, and feathers is trying to tell us. Because beyond the wildlife, the chases, the jokes, Zootopia 2 is a mirror held up to the best and worst of who we might be if we don't look closely. In this sequel, the city of Zootopia expands, not just in size, but in complexity. New districts emerge, hidden enclaves, reptile-friendly zones, markets, and biomes that have long existed on the margins. These new places speak to the idea that those we fear or ignore may simply dwell beyond the comfortable center. They have their own lives, their own cultures, but history and prejudice have pushed them aside. The film uses that spatial and social division to show that unity is often built on selective inclusion, a facade that hides exclusion and unspoken rules. At the core of Zootopia 2's moral beating lies the theme of prejudice, not just simple fear of others, but systemic exclusion, hidden bias, and the rewriting of history to keep entire groups marginalized. A species once banned or unloved, reptiles, are revealed not simply as dangerous outsiders, but as living, feeling beings with their own stories. Through their plight, the film asks, what happens when societies choose which lives belong and which are cast to the margins? Who decides who is safe, normal, or welcome, and what truths get buried to keep the status quo. The story pulls back the curtain on how discrimination can be subtle, structural, buried in laws or traditions rather than obvious hatred. But Zootopia 2 doesn't just condemn prejudice. It offers something deeper: empathy, understanding, the courage to confront uncomfortable truths. Through the character of Gary the Snake, the first snake allowed in Zootopia, the film doesn't give us a cardboard villain to hate. It gives us someone who is vulnerable, honest, striving for dignity and acceptance. By showing the world through his eyes, at times even shifting cinematic perspective to align with his heat sense, the film uses empathy as a weapon against bias. We realize that fear of the other often rests not on what that other has done, but on what we believe they might do. And once that fear is dismantled, what remains is ordinary life, shared hopes, and the possibility of belonging. Parallel to social prejudice is a more intimate human or animal story, that of identity, trust, and the fragility of ideals. Our favorite duo, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde, come into the sequel not as flawless heroes, but as flawed partners under strain, carrying baggage, doubts, unspoken frustrations. Their journey isn't simply solving a crime. It's about rebuilding a fractured partnership, confronting their own assumptions, reopening lines of trust. The film shows that growth isn't linear, that true justice sometimes requires breaking away from comfort zones, and that loyalty isn't always easy. It demands honesty, vulnerability, and the willingness to question even your own beliefs. Zootopia 2 also touches on the idea of institutional complicity, the city's myth of harmony. Predator and prey living together in peace is revealed to be a carefully constructed narrative, one that leaves out entire communities, one that depends on rewriting history and controlling geography. Which species belong where? Who counts as citizen? Who stays on the fringe? The film asks, does unity based on selective exclusion count as real unity at all? Or does it make the city a house built on secrets, ready to crack once someone demands truth? The moral seems to be that justice and inclusion require more than tolerance. They need honesty, reckoning, and the courage to welcome difference fully. And underneath all that, a message about empathy, about listening, seeing the world through another's eyes, even when fear whispers, run away. It's about acknowledging that good versus bad is too simple a binary, that sometimes the other is simply other, another life, with memories, pain, hopes. By humanizing, or rather animalizing, those on the margins, Zootopia 2 reminds us, let's not decide who belongs by fear. Let's decide by shared respect. Maybe above all, Zootopia 2 begs us to question what we call progress. A city might boast diversity, harmony, inclusion. But if that harmony depends on who you exclude, then is it peace? Or merely peace for some? And what happens when the excluded begin to demand recognition? The film gently, then sharply, challenges us to rethink the stories societies tell about themselves. Because sometimes the bravest thing isn't fighting a villain, but facing our own blind spots and rewriting the narrative for everyone, not just the few. So when the lights dim, when the credits roll, don't walk out thinking cute animals, fun adventure. Think back on what you saw hidden behind the fur, the walls, the exclusions, the whispered fears. Because Zootopia 2 doesn't give easy answers. It gave us a question. What kind of world do we want to live in? One where we ignore difference, or one where we truly belong to each other? Let me draw you back into the beating heart of Zootopia 2, 2025, but this time through the lens of its relationships. How bonds are tested, how trust is frayed and reforged, how friendship grows complicated, how alliances shift, and ultimately how the characters grow alongside each other. Because in Zootopia 2, the mystery isn't just about solving a crime, it's about rediscovering what it means to rely on someone else, perhaps even love them when the stakes are highest. The journey begins where the first film ended. The heroes Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde are now official partners in the police force, but their initial triumph has cooled into routine. And when a bungled operation nearly derails their careers, they are forced into a Partners in Crisis therapy program with Dr. Fusby, a quokka counselor assigned to help mismatched cop pairs fix their communication and trust. Right away, we sense the foundation wavering. Judy's drive, idealism, and urgency clash with Nick's more cynical, laid-back, pragmatic style. Their differences, once complementary, now become fault lines. The therapy sessions, awkward, revealing, emotionally charged, lay bare their resentments, insecurities, and miscommunications. The film uses those scenes not for jokes alone, but to show that even the strongest teams can fracture under pressure and that friendship and trust require constant work. As Judy and Nick step into their new case, the strange arrival of Gary DeSnake, the first snake in Zootopia in a century, their partnership becomes more than professional. It becomes existential. Forced to go undercover, dodging suspicion, confronting prejudice, and navigating neighborhoods and communities they barely understand, Judy and Nick are thrown into situations that demand absolute trust. As fugitives at one point, on the run together, they rely on each other's strengths. Judy's idealism and fearlessness, Nick's street smarts, cunning, and calm under pressure. They learn, often the hard way, that their differences, once a source of friction, can become their greatest strength when they finally synchronize. Through the danger and chaos, their relationship shifts, from partners who tolerate each other, to allies forced to depend on each other, to friends whose respect deepens, and possibly more. The events of the climax, where Judy is poisoned, Nick imprisoned, and both must risk everything for each other, bring out raw emotion, vulnerability, sacrifice. In that moment, they see not just a buddy, but someone who's willing to risk everything for them. That crisis becomes a crucible, forging a deeper bond. Trust, admiration, and a recognition that their lives and Zootopia's future are intertwined. Yet the film doesn't hand them a neat romantic resolution. Their relationship, intensely personal, emotionally charged, deeply bonded, remains officially a partnership, a friendship, a working duo. But there are traces of something more: subtle glances, emotional honesty, mutual support, a sense that their lives are richer because they share them. The ambiguity allows the audience to project hope, to interpret closeness however they wish, without forcing a canonical label. The film seems to say, what matters isn't a label, but trust, loyalty, understanding, and the willingness to grow together. Meanwhile, other relationships evolve too. Judy and Nick must confront not just external danger, but internal biases, particularly when they meet Gary DeSnake and other reptilian species. Their attitudes, their judgments, their own fears get challenged. Over the course of their investigation, their understanding of otherness, safety, trust, even what constitutes a citizen of Zootopia, shifts. Through working together, through seeing Gary's humanity, or reptilanity, beyond stereotypes, their bond becomes not just about crime fighting, but about defending ideals, inclusion, justice, empathy. In doing so, they grow not just as partners, but as agents of change. By the end, when truth is unveiled, prejudice confronted, and harmony threatened but defended, Judy and Nick emerge not unscathed, but stronger, more honest, more aware. Their partnership is no longer just a professional convenience or a buddy act. It is forged through hardship, shaped by choices, tested by fear, and refined by trust. Whether their relationship ever crosses into romance is left unconfirmed, but what is undeniable is that whatever the future holds, Judy and Nick will face it together. Their bond has been redefined, deeper, more complex, real. In Zootopia 2, relationships aren't static. They fracture, heal, evolve, and emerge transformed. And it is through those transformations that the film doesn't just tell a story, it shows us something timeless about connection. That real bonds are earned, built, tested, and protected. Picture this: the world of Zootopia 2, 2025, unfolds not just as a bigger city, a darker mystery, but as a crucible that reshapes its heroes. The character development in this sequel is handled with surprising depth, not flashy transformations, but gradual, believable evolution. Our protagonists don't suddenly become wiser or better overnight. Instead, they stumble, they doubt, they rethink, and through mistakes and challenges, they grow. The film opens with Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde still partners at the Zootopia Police Department, but their dynamic is strained. The success of their first big case has faded into routine, and under pressure, their complementary strengths begin to feel like clashing faults. Judy, ever the idealist, is impatient, impulsive, and uncompromising in her drive for justice. Nick, the smooth-talking former con artist turned cop, leans on pragmatism, caution, and emotional guardedness. This friction isn't glossed over. It becomes the emotional soil from which real growth emerges. The creators send them to a Partners in Crisis therapy program with Dr. Fusby, a quokka counselor whose sessions force them to confront their fears, misunderstandings, and deeper insecurities. In those awkwardly honest moments, we begin to see their facades crack. Judy's guilt over forcing Nick into danger, Nick's resentment over being judged and underestimated. As the central mystery, the arrival of the enigmatic reptile Gary the Snake pulls them deep into unexpected territories of Zootopia. Their partnership is tested to its limits. They go undercover, face danger, navigate species-based prejudice, lie, chase clues, endure betrayal, and sometimes make choices that violate their old moral certainties. Each step forces them to make decisions not as individuals, but as partners who must rely on each other. And in that pressure cooker, something shifts. Judy begins to question if her rigid idealism truly serves justice when others are counted out. Nick, hardened, world-weary, finds himself reminded of hope, trust, and the possibility of real change. What makes Judy and Nick compelling, what gives their development real weight, is that neither of them becomes perfect. Instead, they become more real. Judy learns that justice sometimes demands patience, empathy, understanding, that good intentions alone don't always fix deep-rooted problems. She tempers her impulsiveness, learns to listen, to weigh consequences, to ask questions not just of criminals, but of the system, of society. Nick doesn't just soften. He negotiates his cynicism. He doesn't lose his edge, his street smarts, his wit, but he learns when to use them, when to trust, when vulnerability is strength rather than weakness. Their growth is messy, uneven, full of setbacks, but because of that, each step forward feels earned. Moreover, the film uses the broader world, Zootopia itself, as a character in their development. As they travel through new districts, meet new species, confront systems of exclusion, encounter cultural fears and biases, they are forced to re-examine what justice, safety, and community mean. Their transformation is not about winning a case. It's about understanding that protecting a city means protecting everyone, even those society once told you to fear. That shift in worldview becomes part of their character arcs. The villain's role, Gary DeSnake, further sharpens their growth. He isn't just a bad guy to catch. He embodies the fears, prejudices, old legends, and unspoken exclusions of Zootopia. Confronting him compels Judy and Nick not only to solve a crime, but to question the foundations of their society. Their development becomes moral, ethical, existential. They emerge not only as better cops, but as better allies, better citizens, more compassionate creatures. What makes them compelling, what hooks us as viewers, is this: they don't stay the same. We don't get a static hero. We get growth, tension, doubts, contradictions. We see them mess up, fail, hurt each other, but also learn, change, evolve. Their flaws, their vulnerabilities, their uncertainties, all of it becomes part of who they are. And in a world as diverse, messy, unpredictable as Zootopia, that seems more real than perfection ever could. In Zootopia 2, character development isn't a side note, it's the engine. The thrill of chase and mystery fuels action, but the real journey, the heart, lies in watching Judy and Nick become people worthy of the legacy they carry. Protectors, yes, but also bridge builders. And that makes them, and the story they tell, unforgettable. Imagine you sit back, the lights go down, and suddenly the world of Zootopia 2, 2025 unfolds before your eyes in a burst of color, detail, motion. A living, breathing metropolis that feels more alive than any cartoon you've ever seen. The visual style, animation quality, and cinematography in this sequel don't just set the scene, they immerse you, pull you in so deep you forget you're watching drawn characters. From the first frame, Zootopia 2 announces itself as a technical and artistic leap forward. Textures, from Judy's soft fur to the slick scales of a reptile character, from rain-slicked streets to puddles reflecting neon lights, gleam with realism. The lighting is dynamic and expressive. Day scenes glow with bright warmth. Evenings hum with moody city light ambiance, and underwater or snow sequences capture shimmer, depth, and movement that feel almost tactile. Crowd scenes teem with life. Dozens, sometimes hundreds, of distinct animals move, interact, breathe, each one rendered with subtle. What elevates the animation is that it isn't just pretty. The character animation, the faces, the ears, the subtle body language, is expressive in a way few animated films manage. A flick of an ear, a glance, the way a character shifts weight, breathe, These small details carry emotion, doubt, humor. Scenes of tension, fear, hope become more than plot points. They become visceral. In chase sequences, pratfalls, dramatic confrontations, the movement never feels mechanical. Instead, it pulses with energy, urgency, sometimes vulnerability. The cinematography, the way shots are composed, framed, and timed, also plays a huge role. The film blends widescreen sweeping visuals, city skylines, multi-species marketplaces, sprawling new environments, from alpine zones to coastal settings and exotic districts, with close-ups that catch every emotional tremor in eyes or ears. Transitions between scenes, from calm detective work to chaotic underwater escapes to tense confrontations, are handled with fluid camera movement, shifting focus, depth of field, all of which makes the film feel cinematic and alive, not just animated. Action sequences benefit especially from this attention to detail. Car chases through crowded streets, underwater tube chases, escape sequences through unfamiliar districts. All are choreographed with pace, energy, and clarity. The viewer never loses track. Instead, the world stretches wider under you, heightening the sense of scale, danger, and wonder. What makes all this even more compelling is that these technical feats serve story and emotion, not just spectacle. When Judy and Nick walk into a dim alley or a furious confrontation erupts under streetlights, the visuals amplify their internal stakes: fear, doubt, resolve. When they enter a new district of Zootopia, the environment reflects its culture. Reptiles in humid marsh zones, glistening water mammals near coasts, icy tundra districts under snowfall, each locale distinct in look and feel, each adding emotional texture to the narrative. Yet, Zootopia 2 doesn't abandon the playful cartoon-style whimsy its world is built on. There are visual jokes, funny animal expressions, over-the-top exaggerations, balanced with realism. This mixture keeps the film accessible, magical enough for kids, detailed enough for adults who appreciate artistry. In short, what makes the visual style and cinematography of Zootopia 2 so compelling is the union of stunning craft and emotional purpose. It doesn't just show you a world, it invites you to live in it, feel its textures, breathe its air, run its streets, hide in its shadows, hope in its lights. And because of that, because the technical brilliance always serves the story, never overshadows it. Every chase, every emotional beat, every moment of wonder becomes not just something you see, but something you feel. Let me guide you now behind the soundtrack of Zootopia 2, 2025, and explore how its music becomes another character, subtle, bold, emotional, shaping the mood, the tensions, the heart of the story. In this sequel, the music doesn't just accompany the visuals. It amplifies them, elevates every chase, every secret, every moment of discovery, fear, hope. For the score of Zootopia 2, the filmmakers brought back Michael Giacchino, the same Oscar-winning composer who composed the music for the original film. With Giacchino's return, the film inherits a sense of musical continuity, a familiarity in tone that helps tie the new story to the world we already know, but also a willingness to expand, experiment, surprise. Giacchino himself described his work for Zootopia 2 as the most insane score he had written, more expansive, more varied, more playful, a composer embracing the full canvas of this animal metropolis. What makes the soundtrack stand out is its range. Across the 23 compositions on the official soundtrack album, Giacchino moves fluidly through styles, at times orchestral and sweeping, at others whimsical and quirky, sometimes even edgy, matching the film's shifts from gentle humor to dark mystery to action-packed suspense. Character themes, motifs suggestive of the protagonists, the city itself, the newcomer villain, give us emotional signposts. When our heroes walk the familiar streets of Zootopia, there's warmth and recognition in the strings. When they enter new dangerous districts or confront fear and prejudice, the music warps, deepens, unsettles. In this way, the score becomes another narrative tool, letting you feel the city and its undercurrents even when nothing is spoken. But beyond Giacchino's orchestral tapestry, the soundtrack introduces a new layer, a modern pop anthem. Returning to the franchise as the in-universe pop star Gazelle, and in real life as singer Shakira, we get a new original song titled Zoo. The song was co-written by Shakira, Ed Sheeran, and producer Blake Slatkin, connecting global pop sensibilities with the playful, vibrant spirit of Zootopia. Zoo isn't just a tie-in, it's designed to be the film's musical anthem, a track that echoes the themes of unity, diversity, hope, and the rhythmic pulse of city life. The placement and use of this music matter. The orchestral score underscores investigation, tension, emotional beats. The silent moments where Judy and Nick wonder, fear, doubt, decide. It swells as they chase clues, treks them through hidden districts of Zootopia, or reveals secrets that challenge everything they thought they knew. The melodies help us feel unease, mystery, urgency, empathy, even before dialogue or plot reveals strike. And when Zoo arrives, whether during a celebratory moment, a montage, or at the end, it functions as emotional release, a reminder of what the city stands for, of hope amid chaos, of unity and diversity. What makes this musical approach notable is how it refuses to be one note. Zootopia 2 doesn't treat its world as a safe, static place. It's full of contrasts, danger and wonder, prejudice and hope, shadows and light. The varied score mirrors these contrasts, making the soundtrack a reflection of Zootopia's shifting identity. Giacchino's willingness to explore styles, orchestral depth, cartoonish whimsy, even perhaps stylized cues for different species or districts, gives the film a sonic identity as layered as its visual and narrative one. And the inclusion of a modern pop song bridges the in-universe world with our own, making Zootopia feel alive, contemporary, relevant. In short, the music of Zootopia 2 doesn't simply accompany the story. It carries the story. It amplifies uncertainty, colors emotion, sharpens danger, softens heartbreak, lifts hope, pulses energy, whispers secrets. It's a world scored. And through that score, we don't just watch Zootopia. We hear its heartbeat, feel its pulse, and we belong. Let's step into the reception of Zootopia 2, 2025. How critics responded, how audiences reacted, and whether it's on track to become a beloved classic or maybe a modern-day cult favorite. From the moment the first reviews dropped, Zootopia 2 soared. It earned a Tomatometer critic score of 92%, 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, putting it among the highest rated in the recent output of animated films from Walt Disney Animation Studios. Many reviewers called it a triumph, calling the visuals dazzling, praising its humor, emotional depth, thematic ambition and lauding the return of the central duo as a crackerjack caper with heart. Audiences, for their part, seem downright ecstatic. According to Rotten Tomatoes' popcorn meter, the film holds a 96% audience score, a new record for a sequel from Disney Animation. Cinemagoer polls echo that positivity. The film earned an A average grade from CinemaScore, matching the rating of the first film. Early word of mouth is loud. Fans on social media and review platforms extol the movie as a heartwarming, hilarious adventure, some declaring it even better than the original. Box office performance, still early but already strong, confirms the enthusiasm. The film's global opening has been massive, with robust pre-sales, especially in markets like China. That said, not everyone is completely sold. Some critics argue the film can feel a bit heavy, maybe overstuffed, with too many moving parts. A few reviews view it as more of a competent, polished sequel than a groundbreaking work. But even many of those more reserved, "This is fun, if not perfect" responses still acknowledge the craft, the humor, and the ambition. So what does all of this add up to? Is Zootopia 2 becoming a classic or a cult favorite? If we define a classic as a film that balances broad popular appeal, critical acclaim, cultural impact, and rewatchability, then Zootopia 2 is very much on track. Its strong critical reception and record-breaking audience enthusiasm signal it could join the original as a defining film of its generation. Its themes, identity, inclusion, prejudice, justice, resonate in the present moment, giving it relevance beyond just a kid's flick. At the same time, it may also develop a cult-like following among fans who appreciate its deeper messages, the texture of its world-building, and its willingness to tackle social complexity under the guise of a colorful animated caper. Already, fans online are calling it Disney's best sequel, praise normally reserved for films that earn long-term affection, repeated viewings, nostalgia. In other words, Zootopia 2 is doing something rare. It manages to be both crowd-pleasing and meaningful, entertaining and worthwhile, fun and thoughtful. Whether it becomes the next generation's touchstone, we can't know yet. But right now, it boasts the kind of warm, critical glow, box office energy, and audience love that give it a real shot at transcending mere sequel status. It could very well settle into the kind of legacy where children grow up watching it, fans return to it, and it becomes part of the cultural conversation. A modern classic. If you like, I can show you a comparison between the reception of Zootopia 2 and the first film, to see whether the sequel might eventually match or even surpass its predecessor's legacy. Let's peel back the curtain on how Zootopia 2, 2025, came to life. The people behind the scenes, the studio muscle, the creative choices, and what makes its creation stand out, not just as a follow-up to a hit, but as an ambitious animated film pushing boundaries. From the top, Zootopia 2 was made by Walt Disney Animation Studios, with distribution by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. The film is directed by Jared Bush and Byron Howard, with Bush also credited as the screenwriter, and produced by Yvette Marino. That lineup alone carries strong pedigree. Bush and Howard both played central roles in shaping the world and tone of the original film, and Marino brings years of production experience to ensure the follow-up meets or exceeds the high standard audiences expect. Zootopia 2 is explicitly a direct sequel to Zootopia 2016, meaning it draws from the rich, established universe of anthropomorphic mammals living in harmony, or attempting to. But far from simply retreading old ground, the sequel expands the universe in bold new ways. From its inception, the vision was to not just revisit the city, but to grow it. New districts, new species, new social dynamics. According to production sources, the idea of a sequel emerged soon after the success of the first film, but only in early 2023 did the studio formally confirm active development, giving the creative team time to craft a story that felt worthy of return. One of the hallmarks that makes Zootopia 2's creation unique is how the filmmakers approached expansion. Instead of a small, safe sequel, they built a larger world with many more characters, species, cultures, and environments. This isn't just a replay of the first film's dynamics, but a reinvention of the setting's scope. According to insiders, the sequel introduces reptiles, previously absent or marginal in the original, as a fundamental part of the world. That decision alone reshapes the social fabric of Zootopia. Such expansion demanded a bigger cast, returning voices like Jennifer Goodwin, Judy Hopps, and Jason Bateman, Nick Wilde, reprise their roles, but they're joined by many new names voicing a diverse array of characters. Behind the scenes, that meant coordinating a huge ensemble, designing dozens of new species, building new districts and ecosystems in the animation. Tasks that require not just creative vision, but logistical precision. Technically and artistically, the production reflects Disney's commitment to pushing animated storytelling forward. Animation technology, layout, lighting, and design teams were tasked with bringing to life not only familiar backgrounds, but altogether new environments, wetlands, marsh districts, perhaps even aquatic or reptile-friendly zones, all demanding unique textures, animations, and atmospheres. The ambition to expand the world visually required new techniques and meticulous coordination across departments. What's also unique is the balance the filmmakers struck between continuity and innovation. They retained the core creative team and voice cast to preserve the heart and tone of the original, while boldly pushing the boundaries of what Zootopia could be. The presence of reptiles, expanded species diversity, broader urban geography. These are not minor tweaks, but a reimagining of society within the film. That combination of respect for the original and readiness to evolve gives Zootopia 2 a rare freshness for a sequel. On the meta level, the fact that Zootopia 2 was greenlit years after the first film, not rushed out to capitalize on nostalgia, but developed with deliberation, shows Disney's confidence in the world they built and their commitment to making a sequel that matters. Instead of simply repeating the formula that worked, they invested time and resources to deepen, expand, and mature the world. In the end, what makes Zootopia 2's production notable isn't just its big names or big budget. It's that the film doesn't rest on past success. It uses the foundation of Zootopia to build something larger, more complex, more inclusive. It asks, what if we open the gates again? What if we show the corners of the city we never visited? What if we bring in forgotten species, new voices, new conflicts, and still tell a story filled with heart, humor, and hope? Zootopia 2 isn't just a sequel, it's a reinvention. And watching how carefully, boldly, and passionately it was created makes you realize this isn't a return to comfort. It's a leap of faith into a bigger, richer, more daring version of a world we once thought we knew, carrying forward everything we've uncovered about the world-building ambition, the critical reception, the bold soundtrack, and the massive production scale behind Zootopia 2. It becomes almost impossible not to notice how the film's strengths and weaknesses intertwine to create something that stands apart in today's landscape of animated sequels. And as we dive into what makes it soar and where it stumbles, the picture of this cinematic giant becomes even more fascinating, because one of its most undeniable strengths lies in the sheer richness of its universe. The film expands Zootopia in ways that feel daring rather than obligatory, pulling us into new districts, new species, new political tensions, and this expansion gives the film a depth that few animated sequels even attempt, let alone achieve, while its character work, particularly the evolution of Judy and Nick's partnership, delivers emotional layers that resonate with both younger viewers and adults looking for complexity, and the animation quality, already phenomenal in the original, reaches new heights here with lighting, textures, environmental detail, and kinetic cinematography that turn every chase scene, every quiet character moment, and every new ecosystem into a feast for the eyes, making the visual craftsmanship one of the movie's crowning achievements. Add to that the score, pulsating with Michael Giacchino's signature blend of emotional warmth and rhythmic energy, and the new pop anthem that injects cultural vibrance into the story, and it becomes clear why audiences feel such an emotional pull toward the film, especially when the themes, identity, prejudice, justice, corruption, social responsibility, are handled with the maturity that rarely appears in family-centered animation, helping Zootopia 2 stand out from the crowd of formulaic sequels that recycle ideas rather than refine them. But even a film as ambitious as this isn't immune to criticism, and its weaknesses emerge from the very place where it reaches the farthest. Because in expanding the world so drastically, the story sometimes struggles to balance its enormous cast of nearly 200 characters, leading to moments where the pacing tightens too much or stretches too thin, where certain arcs feel underexplored, and where new faces that deserved more time flicker by too quickly. Similarly, some critics argue that the movie, in striving to layer multiple themes, occasionally feels heavy or cluttered, and moments that should breathe are rushed forward by the demands of a large-scale narrative, creating an imbalance between mystery, comedy, emotional beats, and social commentary, while others note that although the film is beautiful, clever, and heartfelt, it inevitably competes with the originality of its predecessor, a film that arrived as a complete surprise, and any sequel, no matter how excellent, carries the burden of expectation. Yet even with these criticisms, Zootopia 2 manages to rise above many animated sequels precisely because it refuses to play safe, because it embraces bolder storytelling, richer environments, and deeper emotional truth, offering something that feels epic yet intimate, thrilling yet thoughtful. And compared to similar films that lean heavily on nostalgia or fan service, Zootopia 2 stands out by actively trying to expand its universe rather than shrink it into something familiar. And while it may not achieve perfection in every frame, its ambition, artistry, and heart secure its place as a defining sequel, one that challenges assumptions about what animated storytelling can be and invites viewers to return again and again, not simply for comfort, but for discovery, wonder, and the sense that this vibrant metropolis still has countless stories left to tell. Step into the bustling streets of Zootopia once again, but this time the city you thought you knew has grown, changed, and hidden secrets beneath its familiar facade. Because Zootopia 2, 2025, doesn't just continue the story of Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. It plunges us into a world where the seemingly harmonious metropolis teeters on the edge of social unrest, new mysteries, and moral questions that challenge the very foundations of the city itself. And from the opening sequence, the film captivates by showing that peace is fragile, trust is tested, and progress is never guaranteed. In the aftermath of their initial success, solving the savage predator incidents years before, Judy and Nick have settled into routine as police partners. Yet the comfort of familiarity is quickly disrupted when the city faces an unprecedented event: the arrival of Gary DeSnake, a highly intelligent and enigmatic reptile whose presence challenges long-held prejudices and ignites fears that have been buried for decades. And as Judy and Nick are drawn into investigating this mysterious newcomer, they discover that Zootopia's social fabric is more complex than ever, with hidden districts for previously marginalized species, clandestine networks of influence, and a tension simmering beneath the city's vibrant streets. A tension that threatens to boil over if ignored. And it is within this framework that the main storyline unfolds. Judy and Nick must navigate political intrigue, cultural misunderstandings, and a series of high-stakes incidents that place the safety of citizens, their careers, and their friendship at risk, all while confronting questions of prejudice, trust, and what it means to truly belong. As the plot progresses, the duo delves into undercover operations, facing deception, betrayal, and ethical dilemmas that force them to question not only the motives of those around them, but also their own assumptions. And the narrative cleverly intertwines suspense, mystery, humor, and heartfelt moments, creating a layered storyline that keeps viewers on edge, yet emotionally invested. From high-speed chases through bustling marketplaces to tense confrontations in hidden biomes, the film blends action with social commentary, using each scene to explore themes of inclusion, systemic bias, and the complexity of justice in a city of diverse species, all while maintaining the playful, witty charm that defined the original Zootopia. Central to the plot is the evolving relationship between Judy and Nick, whose partnership is tested both professionally and personally as they learn to navigate differences, rely on one another in moments of peril, and confront vulnerabilities that challenge their perceptions of themselves and each other. And through their journey, the audience witnesses not just the unraveling of a citywide mystery, but the growth of characters who must reconcile idealism with pragmatism, hope with reality, and courage with caution. The climax of the film sees the culmination of these intertwined threads, the revelation of hidden conspiracies, the exposure of societal fears manipulated for control, and a high-stakes resolution that demands bravery, cleverness, and empathy, leaving the city forever changed and the protagonists deeply transformed. their experiences reinforcing the moral and thematic undercurrents of the story. That true progress requires understanding, that unity is fragile, and that courage is not just facing external threats, but confronting the prejudices and blind spots within ourselves. And in this way, Zootopia 2, 2025 delivers a plot that is as thrilling as it is meaningful, a cinematic experience that engages the mind, the heart, and the imagination in a seamless journey through a city alive with color, conflict, and possibility. Continuing deeper into the vibrant world of Zootopia 2, 2025, it becomes impossible to separate the story from the extraordinary personalities who inhabit it. Because at the heart of the film are characters whose complexity, humor, and emotional resonance drive every twist, turn, and revelation. And the main duo, as in the first film, are none other than Judy Hopps, the relentlessly optimistic and courageous rabbit police officer, and Nick Wilde, the charming, sly, and morally nuanced fox, whose wit and street-smart cunning complement Judy's tireless drive. And these two central figures are brought to life by the remarkable voice talents of Jennifer Goodwin, who returns to give Judy her blend of determination, vulnerability, and infectious energy, and Jason Bateman, reprising Nick with a sardonic, playful, yet emotionally layered performance that allows audiences to feel both his humor and his hidden depth. Beyond this core duo, Zootopia 2 expands the cast to include a host of memorable new characters whose introductions are as carefully crafted as the city's expanded districts. And one of the most significant additions is Gary the Snake, a highly intelligent, enigmatic reptile whose arrival shakes the city's delicate balance. Gary is voiced with sharp, sly charisma by Rami Malek, whose performance brings both menace and nuance, challenging the protagonists and captivating viewers with a presence that lingers long after the credits roll. The film also reintroduces beloved side characters such as Chief Bogo, voiced by Idris Elba, who continues to balance bureaucratic authority with moments of comic relief and genuine mentorship, and Bellwether, previously a minor antagonist in the first film, returns in a more complex form, lending layers of political intrigue and commentary through a performance that captures her blend of charm and underlying calculation. Other returning favorites include Clawhauser, voiced by Nate Torrance, whose comic timing provides levity amid tension, and Flash the Sloth, voiced once again by Raymond S. Percy, whose delightfully slow antics offer both humor and subtle thematic contrast against the urgency of the central mystery. New allies also populate the expanded landscape. Detective Fuzby, a quokka who acts as a counselor for mismatched police partners, voiced by Awkwafina, whose quick wit and timing inject humor while simultaneously facilitating emotional growth for Judy and Nick, and Robert Furwin, a young koala voiced by Robert Irwin, whose innocence and curiosity provide both comic relief and a lens for exploring societal themes within the story. The ensemble further includes a variety of species-specific characters who inhabit the newly revealed districts of Zootopia: reptiles, amphibians, aquatic mammals, and others, each carefully voiced to reflect their unique personalities, cultural quirks, and role within the narrative, ensuring that every corner of the city feels alive and distinct. What ties this vast cast together is not merely the talent of the actors, but the careful writing and direction that ensures each character serves the story's themes while also leaving a lasting impression. The performances highlight personal growth, moral complexity, and the interplay between fear, trust, and empathy, giving every voice a purpose, whether in humor, suspense, or heartfelt revelation. By blending returning voices with a strategically chosen set of new actors, Zootopia 2 achieves a dynamic equilibrium where familiarity and novelty coexist, allowing the audience to re-enter a beloved world while encountering fresh perspectives and emotional stakes. And this combination of character depth, exceptional voice performances, and ensemble diversity makes the film's cast not just a collection of animated figures, but a living, breathing organism that carries the story forward, immerses viewers in the city's pulse, and ensures that every character, whether protagonist, ally, or antagonist, leaves an indelible mark on the audience's imagination. Peeling back the layers of Zootopia 2, 2025, it becomes instantly clear that beyond the dazzling animation, the thrilling chases, and the humor that keeps you laughing out loud, the film is a masterclass in exploring profound themes and moral lessons that resonate long after the credits roll. Because at its core, this sequel is not just about solving a mystery or chasing a villain. It's about interrogating the very fabric of society, the way we judge, trust, and connect with others, and how fear, prejudice, and misunderstanding can quietly corrode even the most vibrant communities. One of the central themes of Zootopia 2 is the exploration of prejudice and systemic bias. While the first film introduced the idea that appearances and species can cloud judgment, the sequel deepens this lens, showing how long-standing societal fears and stereotypes can persist under the surface, influencing decisions, relationships, and public policy, and how confronting these biases requires not only courage, but empathy, education, and the willingness to see the world through perspectives different from one's own. Another major theme is trust and partnership. Judy and Nick's evolving relationship reflects how authentic collaboration requires vulnerability, honesty, and patience. And the film portrays the challenges inherent in balancing ideals with pragmatism, showing that meaningful partnerships are forged not in comfort, but in struggle, in conflict, and in shared triumphs over adversity. Zootopia 2 also delves into the theme of social responsibility and civic duty, emphasizing that creating a fair and just society is an active process. The citizens, leaders, and protectors of Zootopia must all reckon with ethical choices, with the consequences of inaction, and with the necessity of standing up for marginalized voices, highlighting that justice is not a static concept, but a continual pursuit that demands courage and moral clarity. Identity and belonging remain central as well. The film interrogates what it means to be accepted in a community while staying true to oneself, exploring the tension between societal expectations and personal integrity, and offering a nuanced look at how diversity of species, culture, thought, and experience enriches a city, strengthens problem-solving, and fosters resilience. Additionally, the narrative emphasizes courage and moral fortitude, showing that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in alignment with one's principles, even when facing uncertainty, danger, or widespread skepticism. And it underscores that change often requires stepping into uncomfortable spaces and confronting uncomfortable truths. Humor, too, is wielded as a moral tool. Through comic relief, light-hearted interactions, and playful character dynamics, the film demonstrates that laughter can break down barriers, foster empathy, and make challenging conversations more approachable, serving as a reminder that joy and resilience coexist with struggle and injustice. Interwoven with these themes are lessons about responsibility to community, highlighting that even in a city of sprawling diversity, individual actions ripple outward, affecting trust, harmony, and safety, and that ethical leadership and courageous intervention are necessary to protect not just oneself, but the fragile equilibrium of the entire society. Ultimately, Zootopia 2's moral core is about understanding and connection. It invites viewers to question assumptions, challenge biases, embrace differences, and recognize the humanity, or in this case, the animality, in every individual, while illustrating that personal growth, societal progress, and genuine justice are inseparable pursuits. The brilliance of the film lies in how seamlessly these lessons are embedded in the narrative, conveyed through character choices, plot twists, conflicts, and resolution, ensuring that while audiences are enthralled by action, humor, and spectacle, they are simultaneously absorbing thoughtful reflections on ethics, empathy, and the ongoing work required to build inclusive, equitable, and compassionate communities, making Zootopia 2 not just a cinematic adventure, but an enduring guide for how we might approach the complex, interconnected world we inhabit. As we dive even deeper into Zootopia 2, 2025, it becomes evident that beyond the dazzling world, the intricate plot, and the thematic depth, the beating heart of the film lies in the evolution of its central relationships, because it is through these connections that the story gains emotional resonance and moral weight. And nowhere is this more compelling than in the partnership and friendship between Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde, whose dynamic has matured and deepened since the first film, moving from a playful and sometimes contentious rookie and veteran rapport to a sophisticated, trust-based alliance forged under pressure and shared experience, reflecting the ways real partnerships evolve when faced with complex challenges, conflicting priorities, and moral dilemmas. At the start of the film, Judy's unrelenting idealism sometimes clashes with Nick's pragmatic skepticism, and this tension sets the stage for growth, as both characters are forced to confront the limits of their assumptions, recognize the value of each other's perspective, and learn to balance hope with realism, idealism with strategy, and impulsive courage with careful observation. A journey that not only drives the plot forward, but also invites viewers to reflect on their own relationships and the ways trust and respect develop over time. The introduction of new characters, such as Gary DeSnake, and the expansion of Zootopia's districts further tests the duo's bond, as navigating new environments and interacting with species they have never encountered before exposes hidden biases, challenges their problem-solving approaches, and demands that they support each other in novel ways, highlighting that the strength of a relationship is often measured by how well partners adapt together to unknown circumstances. And Judy and Nick's evolving communication, shared decision-making, and mutual vulnerability serve as the emotional scaffolding for the film's suspense and moral stakes. Beyond the central duo, relationships with supporting characters also undergo transformation. Chief Bogo, for example, shows growth in his trust and reliance on Judy and Nick, moving from a cautious, authoritative figure to a mentor willing to take calculated risks based on their judgment, while returning side characters like Claw Hauser and Bellwether demonstrate shifts in loyalty, perspective, and understanding, reinforcing the film's themes of redemption, forgiveness, and the complexity of personal growth within social systems. Even peripheral interactions, such as Judy mentoring younger officers or Nick navigating alliances with new species, reveal subtleties of connection, empathy, and influence, showing that relationships in Zootopia are not static, but responsive, dynamic, and essential to both personal and societal progress. And the screenplay carefully layers these developments so that audiences feel the tension, the trust, the moments of misunderstanding, and the eventual resolutions in ways that are emotionally satisfying and narratively compelling. What makes the evolution of these relationships so gripping is that it mirrors real-life interpersonal dynamics. Bonds are tested by adversity, challenged by new perspectives, strengthened through collaboration, and deepened by mutual recognition of flaws and strengths, all while maintaining humor, charm, and the playful energy that makes Zootopia distinct. So that by the climax, Judy and Nick's partnership feels not only heroic and clever, but profoundly human. Their trust, reliance, and emotional intimacy, a testament to the idea that the strongest bonds are those that endure trials, embrace differences, and emerge more resilient, wiser, and more connected than before. And it is this careful, nuanced portrayal of evolving relationships that elevates Zootopia 2 beyond mere spectacle, making it a story that resonates on both an emotional and philosophical level, ensuring that viewers leave not only entertained, but deeply invested in the lives, growth, and enduring friendship of the characters who guide them through the ever-expanding, endlessly fascinating city of Zootopia. Turning our focus now to the intricate tapestry of character development in Zootopia 2, 2025, it becomes clear that this film doesn't rely solely on dazzling visuals or thrilling plot twists to captivate audiences. Instead, it invests deeply in the emotional and psychological growth of its characters, particularly its protagonists, crafting arcs that are simultaneously believable, inspiring, and profoundly human despite the anthropomorphic setting. And at the center of this development is Judy Hopps, whose journey in the sequel is not just about solving a complex citywide mystery, but about confronting her own limitations, biases, and the moral ambiguities of leadership in a society that is more complex and diverse than she had ever imagined. And what makes Judy so compelling is her perfect balance of relentless optimism and grounded pragmatism, her courage tempered with empathy, and her innate curiosity that pushes her to challenge assumptions while remaining open to learning. Qualities that allow audiences to root for her, not because she is flawless, but because her strengths are inseparable from her vulnerabilities, and her growth is organic, unfolding as she faces obstacles that test not only her skills, but her ideals, forcing her to reconcile her belief in justice with the messy realities of a city teeming with conflicting interests, hidden prejudices, and unexpected dangers. The film masterfully handles character development by layering Judy's personal evolution with her professional challenges, showing that leadership and heroism are not static traits, but skills refined through experience, reflection, and interpersonal dynamics. Her interactions with Nick Wilde further enrich her arc, as their relationship forces her to confront the tension between idealism and pragmatism, to trust others in ways she previously struggled with, and to navigate moral gray areas with nuance and compassion, all while maintaining her trademark courage and determination. And it is this combination of self-reflection, relational growth, and ethical engagement that makes her arc feel authentic, emotionally resonant, and narratively satisfying. Nick Wilde's development runs parallel to Judy's, deepening his complexity as a character. He moves beyond his street-smart cynicism into a role of responsibility, trust, and moral alignment, revealing layers of empathy, loyalty, and wisdom that were only hinted at in the first film, and his growth complements Judy's, showing that compelling protagonists do not exist in isolation, but are defined in part by the relationships that challenge and expand them, creating a dynamic interplay that keeps the audience emotionally invested at every turn. The sequel also extends character development to secondary and supporting characters, giving them arcs that reflect societal themes, personal redemption, and growth through collaboration, ensuring that the narrative world feels fully alive and interactive, and that the stakes are meaningful not just for the protagonists, but for the entire city of Zootopia, reinforcing the film's central themes of empathy, justice, and community. In short, what makes Zootopia 2's character development so remarkable is its depth, subtlety, and emotional intelligence. The characters evolve in ways that are consistent with their established traits, yet surprising enough to keep the story fresh. Their personal growth intertwined with narrative tension and thematic resonance. And Judy Hopps emerges as a protagonist who is endlessly compelling because she embodies courage, vulnerability, intelligence, and moral clarity, a figure whose journey inspires, challenges, and resonates with viewers of all ages, leaving them engaged not just with the plot, but with the emotional heartbeat and philosophical depth of a city, alive with stories, struggles, and the possibility of transformation. Moving seamlessly from the character-driven brilliance of Zootopia 2, 2025, it becomes impossible to ignore how the film's visual style, animation quality, and cinematography elevate the narrative, transforming every scene into a living, breathing, and immersive experience that pulls viewers deeper into the city's intricate world. Because here, animation is not merely a medium, but a language of storytelling where color, lighting, and motion all work in harmony to reflect emotional beats, thematic resonance, and narrative tension. And from the very first frame, the cityscape of Zootopia bursts to life with unprecedented vibrancy. Districts previously unseen unfold with architectural inventiveness, ecosystems rendered in breathtaking detail, and each species inhabiting the city is given textures, movements, and gestures that feel astonishingly real while still retaining a stylized charm, creating a universe that is both fantastical and palpably tangible. The cinematography in Zootopia 2 pushes boundaries for an animated feature, using camera angles, depth of field, and dynamic framing to guide the audience's attention, heighten suspense, and accentuate comedic timing. Chase sequences feel kinetic and urgent, utilizing sweeping aerial shots, intricate city layouts, and perfectly timed cuts to immerse viewers in the action, while quieter character-driven moments employ intimate framing, soft lighting, and nuanced focus to capture subtle expressions and emotional undercurrents, proving that animated storytelling can wield cinematic techniques with the same sophistication as live-action filmmaking. Lighting and color design are particularly striking, with the filmmakers using palette and shadow to reflect mood, highlight narrative stakes, and distinguish environments. Warmer hues dominate scenes of camaraderie and hope, while cooler, muted tones signal danger, secrecy, or moral ambiguity. And the interplay of light and texture on fur, scales, and surfaces is meticulously crafted, with individual strands of fur, reflective scales, and naturalistic movement, lending realism and tactile authenticity that make every character visually compelling and physically believable within the animated world. The animation quality itself is a testament to years of technological innovation, with fluid motion, detailed simulations of environmental elements like rain, water, and wind, and a level of polish in facial expressions and micro gestures that amplifies both comedic and dramatic moments, ensuring that viewers can read emotion, intent, and personality in every blink, twitch, or subtle movement. And the result is a cinematic experience where artistry and technical mastery converge seamlessly. What sets Zootopia 2 apart from many other animated features is the way visual storytelling complements thematic depth. The city's expansion to include new districts and species is not merely decorative, but narratively meaningful, visually reflecting the societal complexity, cultural diversity, and underlying tensions explored in the story, so that even without dialogue, the audience can sense the stakes, relationships, and social dynamics through careful design, environmental cues, and spatial composition. The filmmaker's attention to detail extends to background activity, crowd behavior, and the physical interactions between species of varying sizes, creating a living, breathing metropolis where every street, alley, and district feels populated and purposeful, and where subtle visual humor and storytelling flourish in the background, rewarding attentive viewers and enhancing the immersive experience. In essence, the visual style, animation, and cinematography of Zootopia 2 do more than delight the eyes. They function as a narrative engine, an emotional amplifier, and a thematic mirror, making the city itself a character, elevating the stakes, and ensuring that audiences are not just watching a story unfold, but inhabiting it, feeling its energy, tensions, humor, and heart with every meticulously crafted frame. And this fusion of artistry, technology, and cinematic sophistication is a major reason why Zootopia 2 captures the imagination and keeps viewers utterly entranced from the first moment to the last. Transitioning from the breathtaking visuals and masterful cinematography of Zootopia 2, 2025, the soundtrack emerges as another vital layer that elevates the film from a stunning animated adventure to an emotionally immersive cinematic experience. Because music in this sequel is not merely an accompaniment, but a storytelling force in its own right, guiding viewers through tension, humor, wonder, and introspection, and infusing each scene with energy, rhythm, and emotional resonance that amplifies the narrative stakes. The score, is composed by the brilliant Michael Giacchino, whose return from the first Zootopia film brings both continuity and innovation, seamlessly weaving motifs that recall the city's familiar heartbeat while introducing new themes that reflect the expanded world, its heightened challenges, and the deeper personal journeys of the characters. Giacchino's compositions employ a rich orchestral palette, balancing lush strings, dynamic brass, and percussive elements to punctuate action sequences, comedic beats, and moments of suspense, while also incorporating delicate melodic lines and harmonic textures during intimate, character-driven scenes, allowing audiences to feel the internal growth, tension, and emotional vulnerability of Judy, Nick, and the ensemble cast. What makes the soundtrack particularly notable is its ability to reflect Zootopia's diverse society. Different districts and species are given musical signatures that evoke cultural, environmental, and emotional cues. So a chase through the bustling metropolis feels rhythmically distinct from an exploration of the hidden wetlands, or from a moment of quiet introspection between the protagonists. And this deliberate musical layering reinforces world building, immersing the viewer in the city, not just visually, but aurally, making Zootopia itself feel alive. The film also integrates a memorable new song that punctuates a key narrative moment, blending contemporary sensibilities with the orchestral score to heighten emotional impact and provide a cultural touchstone that resonates with audiences both young and old, while subtly reinforcing the film's themes of unity, courage, and self-discovery. Beyond action and adventure, the soundtrack supports the moral and thematic weight of the story. Shifts in tempo, harmony, and instrumentation mirror the tension of social unrest, the uncertainty of trust, and the triumph of moral clarity, subtly guiding the audience's emotional experience without ever overwhelming the narrative. And it is in this careful calibration that Giacchino's work shines, proving that music in Zootopia 2 is as much a character as Judy or Nick, shaping perception, guiding empathy, and amplifying the stakes. Ultimately, the music and soundtrack of Zootopia 2 are indispensable to the film's storytelling mastery. They intertwine with animation, character development, and plot to create a fully realized world that feels dynamic, emotionally resonant, and immersive, where every note, rhythm, and motif deepens engagement, underscores thematic complexity, and ensures that viewers are carried not only through the story, but through the emotional landscape of a city teeming with life, tension, humor, and heart, making the film an unforgettable symphony of sight, sound, and narrative brilliance. Building on everything we've explored about Zootopia 2, 2025, from its stunning visuals and immersive soundtrack to the layered character development and intricate thematic explorations, the reception of the film becomes a story in its own right, because it is in the response of critics and audiences alike that the true cultural impact of a sequel can be measured. And in this case, Zootopia 2 has managed to capture hearts and imaginations in a way that few animated follow-ups ever do, bridging the delicate balance between nostalgia for the original and the audacious expansion of its universe. Critics widely praise the film for its ambition, noting that it successfully broadened the city of Zootopia while maintaining the sharp social commentary and clever humor that made the first installment a phenomenon. And reviewers highlighted the depth of the character arcs, particularly the nuanced evolution of Judy and Nick, as well as the seamless integration of new characters, which avoided the common sequel pitfall of overcrowding while adding fresh energy, intrigue, and emotional resonance to the narrative. The animation and visual design were lauded as some of the most sophisticated ever seen in animated cinema, with meticulous attention to textures, lighting, environmental detail, and movement, and coupled with Michael Giacchino's dynamic and emotionally attuned score. The film was frequently described as a cinematic experience that rivals live-action blockbusters in both scope and emotional impact, creating a world that felt alive, layered, and completely immersive. Audiences responded with equal enthusiasm, drawn not only to the spectacle and humor, but to the film's compelling moral core, its exploration of prejudice, social responsibility, and identity, and its insistence on portraying growth, empathy, and ethical courage as both achievable and essential, making it resonate with viewers of all ages and backgrounds and sparking discussions about the relevance of its social commentary to contemporary real-world issues, which elevated it beyond the status of mere entertainment into a culturally significant narrative. While some critics noted that the film's expansive plot and large ensemble cast occasionally created moments where pacing felt slightly uneven, or certain subplots could have been developed more fully, these minor criticisms were overshadowed by the overwhelming praise for the film's ambition, emotional intelligence, and technical mastery. And audiences embraced these complexities as part of what made the sequel feel substantial, rich, and rewarding. In terms of legacy, Zootopia 2 is already being considered a modern classic of animation, not simply for its technical brilliance, but for its ability to challenge viewers, evoke empathy, and sustain narrative tension while remaining accessible, humorous, and profoundly engaging. And among fans, it has also gained the status of a cult favorite in certain circles, celebrated for its clever dialogue, memorable new characters, and the ways it deepens the moral and societal questions first posed in the original, fostering passionate discussion and repeated viewing. Ultimately, the reception of Zootopia 2 reflects its dual achievement. It honors the original film's spirit while daring to expand, innovate, and challenge, creating an animated experience that captivates, entertains, and inspires, and its place in cinematic history is not merely as a sequel that succeeds, but as a film that continues to resonate, provoke thought, and remain vividly present in the hearts and minds of audiences, ensuring that its impact will be felt for years to come. Building upon the critical acclaim and audience enthusiasm that Zootopia 2 2025 has garnered, it becomes fascinating to explore the intricate production details behind this cinematic achievement, because understanding the minds, studios, and creative processes involved illuminates why the film not only meets expectations, but surpasses them in ambition and execution. And at the helm of this project is director Byron Howard, returning from the original film with a visionary approach that balances the franchise's signature humor, social commentary, and emotional depth, while introducing bold new narrative and visual elements that expand the universe of Zootopia in surprising ways. And working alongside him is co-director Jared Bush, whose dual expertise in storytelling and character development ensures that the complex ensemble cast and multi-layered plot remain cohesive, engaging, and emotionally resonant. Produced by Walt Disney Animation Studios, Zootopia 2 benefited from the studio's cutting-edge animation technology and years of accumulated expertise. Yet what makes this production unique is the intentional blending of advanced digital animation techniques with a storytelling philosophy that prioritizes realism in behavior, environmental detail, and cultural nuance, resulting in a cityscape that is simultaneously fantastical and fully believable, populated by a dizzying variety of species and districts that each have their own architectural style, climate, and social dynamics. The source material, while rooted in the original Zootopia universe, draws heavily on contemporary societal themes and moral questions, allowing the creative team to construct a narrative that is timely, relevant, and ethically rich. And the screenplay was developed with meticulous attention to both plot and subtext, ensuring that humor, suspense, character development, and thematic messaging are interwoven seamlessly, creating a story that operates on multiple levels for viewers of all ages. What sets the production of Zootopia 2 apart from typical animated sequels is the level of research and world building that went into every detail. Animators studied real-world animal behaviors, ecological systems, and urban planning to craft a city that moves, reacts, and feels authentic. While the visual development team explored cultural, architectural, and environmental inspirations from around the globe to create districts that are visually distinctive and narratively meaningful, reinforcing the story's social themes and ethical dilemmas. Voice casting and performance capture were executed with precision to ensure that the emotional resonance of each character's journey was fully realized, while the musical score and sound design were integrated from early production phases to guide mood, pacing, and audience engagement, creating a unified cinematic experience in which every element, from lighting to movement, from dialogue to score, works synergistically to immerse viewers in Zootopia's complex, evolving world. Ultimately, the production of Zootopia 2 is remarkable not only for its technical sophistication and artistic innovation, but also for its commitment to storytelling depth, thematic relevance, and character authenticity. And it stands as a testament to what happens when visionary direction, cutting-edge animation technology, and meticulously crafted narrative converge, resulting in a film that is both a continuation of a beloved franchise and a bold statement of creative ambition that redefines what an animated sequel can achieve. Expanding on the remarkable production and creative vision behind Zootopia 2, 2025, it becomes essential to examine what makes this film not only a captivating sequel, but also a benchmark in contemporary animation by analyzing its strengths, its few weaknesses, and the aspects that allow it to stand out in comparison to similar films. Because understanding these dimensions reveals why audiences are so drawn to it and why it continues to generate discussion long after the credits roll. One of the film's most undeniable strengths is its complex and immersive world building. The city of Zootopia is expanded in ways that feel both organic and breathtakingly inventive, with new districts, species, and ecosystems that enrich the narrative, provide visual wonder, and reinforce thematic depth, making the environment itself an active character in the story. And this paired with state-of-the-art animation and cinematography, results in a visual experience that rivals the most technically ambitious animated features to date, from fluid character movement to meticulous environmental detail, and from expressive facial animation to sophisticated lighting and texture work that conveys mood, atmosphere, and narrative subtext. Another major strength lies in character development and emotional resonance. Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde, alongside a diverse ensemble of returning and new characters, exhibit growth that feels authentic, layered, and morally engaging, ensuring that audiences are emotionally invested while exploring complex themes of prejudice, trust, social responsibility, and identity, which elevates the film beyond simple entertainment into a story with depth, relevance, and heart. The script and narrative structure are also commendable, blending suspense, humor, action, and social commentary in a way that maintains tension, surprises viewers, and balances lighthearted moments with serious thematic exploration, which is rare for a sequel where the risk of diluting the original's impact is high. The musical score by Michael Giacchino further enhances these strengths, heightening emotion, guiding audience engagement, and reinforcing the city's vibrant atmosphere, while the voice performances of Jennifer Goodwin, Jason Bateman, and the ensemble cast infuse the characters with warmth, personality, and depth. In terms of weaknesses, while Zootopia 2 excels in many areas, the complexity of its plot and size of its ensemble cast occasionally result in moments where pacing feels slightly uneven, or certain secondary characters and subplots could have benefited from more development, and the density of world building and thematic exploration may sometimes challenge younger viewers or casual audiences in terms of keeping track of every narrative thread. Additionally, in comparison to other animated blockbusters, the film's ambitious social commentary and moral nuance may be more intellectually demanding, which could be perceived by some as less immediately accessible than more straightforward, adventure-focused films. Despite these minor drawbacks, what makes Zootopia 2 truly stand out is its ability to marry technical brilliance with narrative intelligence and moral sophistication, offering a story that is visually dazzling, emotionally rich, and intellectually engaging, while still maintaining humor, heart, and the accessibility that made the original film a cultural phenomenon. And this combination positions it as one of the most thoughtful and polished animated sequels in recent memory. A film that is simultaneously entertaining, socially relevant, and enduringly memorable, setting it apart from competitors that may excel in spectacle but often fall short in thematic and character depth. And it is precisely this harmonious blend of artistry, storytelling, and moral resonance that cements Zootopia 2, 2025 as both a critical and popular success. A film that leaves audiences exhilarated, thoughtful, and eager to revisit its intricate, alive, and endlessly fascinating world. And now, settle in, lean close. Let me take you on a ride through the world of Zootopia 2, 2025, as if whispering the secrets behind the screen, because what unfolds is not just a sequel, but a wild plunge into mystery, emotion, and a city on the edge, with danger lurking where you'd least expect it. From the bright streets and hopeful dreams that closed the first film, Zootopia has changed. And so have its police partners, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. Their first glory days as heroes, chasing down a citywide case, gave them fame, but also fatigue. Their dynamic, once seamless, is now frayed. Their personalities, Judy's relentless idealism and Nick's roguish pragmatism, start to clash under pressure. Mistakes mount, trust falters, and things reach a breaking point. Their superpower team dynamic falters. To salvage it, the leadership sends them to a Partners in Crisis therapy program run by a quirky quacker therapist, Dr. Fuzby. It's awkward, uncomfortable, even absurd, but necessary. Already the undercurrents of doubt and frustration between them tug at the foundation of their relationship, threatening to unravel everything. But just as they're supposed to be reconciling, just as they might begin to rebuild trust, a new shadow slithers into town. Enter Gary the Snake, a pit viper and Zootopia's first snake resident, a shocking anomaly in a city built on mammals. His arrival doesn't just stir murmurings, it cracks open old fears, prejudices, and unsettling questions. Who is he? What does he want? And why has Zootopia been snake-free for so long? Gary brings charm, cunning, and secrets. His presence is a mystery that threatens the peaceful tapestry of Zootopia's society. Suddenly, Judy and Nick are forced back together, not as mismatched partners strained by resentment, but as detectives on a twisting trail. They dive into parts of Zootopia no citizen has seen, dark corners, hidden districts, new neighborhoods, including a marsh market and districts rumored to be reptile-friendly. They go undercover, adopt false identities, step into cultures unlike their own. The city feels bigger now, teeming with species and secrets, more vibrant and more dangerous than ever. Undercover nights, coded whispers, shed snakeskin, suspicious shadows. Every clue pulses with risk, and every risk demands that Judy and Nick learn to trust each other again. As the mystery deepens, the film doesn't just become a chase for a villain, it becomes a journey into the heart of identity, fear, and acceptance. Gary isn't just a criminal, he's a symbol. In a city built around mammals, a reptile's arrival stirs everything hidden: bigotry, hidden prejudice, mistrust. Zootopia, once a shining beacon of harmony, now shows cracks. And Judy and Nick, once protectors of that harmony, must confront the ugliness lurking beneath. Their mission is not just about catching one snake, but about defending what the city claims to stand for: unity in diversity, respect for every creature, even if society has trained some to fear the other. Meanwhile, the pressure on Judy and Nick isn't only external. Their own friendship, their ideals, their trust, internal conflicts swirl. They must relearn how to listen, to compromise, to believe in each other. The therapy sessions with Dr. Fuzby are awkward, emotional, sometimes humorous, sometimes raw. In those moments, we see not just heroes, but flawed beings, afraid, resentful, unsure. And that vulnerability becomes their greatest strength, because only by admitting their fears, acknowledging mistakes, and opening up can they hope to stand united again. The climax, shrouded in danger, tension, and high stakes, pulls them into a final confrontation. Truths exposed, alliances tested, judgments challenged. Gary's schemes, twisted, old-seated, built on prejudice and fear, threaten more than the safety of the city. They threaten its soul. The fate of Zootopia hangs in balance, and through smoke and shadows, Judy and Nick have to choose: run away or stand together. Their choice won't just decide their friendship, but the future of every inhabitant of Zootopia. Zootopia 2 is more than a sequel. It's a mirror, one that reflects fears we bury, biases we ignore, and the painful work of learning to trust across differences. It's a mystery filled with thrills and humor, but at its core, a story of redemption, growth, and the power of partnership. For fans of the first film, expect familiar heart, but also expect something deeper, darker, more real. For new viewers, get ready to enter a city alive with wonder, but also fraught with consequences. In the end, when the credits roll, the question won't just be who did it, but who do we want to be? And if you've ever wondered what happens when heroes, flawed, tired, human as fur, are forced to face both external monsters and their own inner demons, well, buckle up. Because Zootopia 2 is not just a ride, it's a reckoning. All right, lean in again, because now we turn the spotlight from the story to the voices behind the creatures of Zootopia 2, 2025, the souls who breathe life into its streets, alleys, and hidden corners. Let me introduce you to the main characters and the actors whose voices carry their hopes, fears, wit, and heart. So you'll hear every nuance, every quiet glance, every thunderous moment in your mind as if you were right there beside them. At the core stand the two whose partnership anchors the entire film, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. Judy Hopps, once again voiced by Jennifer Goodwin, returns as the ever-optimistic, brave rabbit cop whose courage and idealism have always driven her forward. Her voice carries her compassion, her determination, and, in the sequel, a deeper vulnerability as she navigates new challenges with her partner. Opposite her is Nick Wilde, the sly fox detective voiced by Jason Bateman, whose smooth charm, street-smart wit, and underlying loyalty make him the perfect counterpart. Their chemistry remains a highlight. Nick's sarcasm, wit, and heart of gold, balanced by Judy's relentless belief that everyone deserves a chance, together giving the film its emotional and moral core. But Judy and Nick are not alone. Enter Gary DeSnake, a mysterious pit viper, whose arrival in Zootopia shakes the very foundations of the city's social order. Gary is voiced by Ke Huy Quan, the Oscar-winning actor whose performance brings layers of intrigue, surprise, and empathy to a character who at first seems destined to be villainous, but might also challenge what Zootopia believes about others. His scales hide secrets, his words stir fear and curiosity, and through Ke Huy Quan's voice, Gary becomes a catalyst for a story that asks big questions about acceptance, identity, and fear of the unfamiliar. Supporting them are a constellation of voices that expand the world and deepen the emotional and comedic stakes. There is Dr. Fuzzby, the quokka therapist whose sessions with Judy and Nick aim to patch cracks in their partnership, voiced by Quinta Brunson, bringing warmth, humor, and surprising insight. Then there is Nibbles Maplestick, a beaver whose quirky personality and sharp comedy, voiced by Fortune Feimster, add a lively and unpredictable energy to the mystery at the heart of the film. On the side of order and law enforcement, familiar faces return. Chief Bogo, the Cape Buffalo Police Chief, whose weighty presence is given gravitas by Idris Elba, reminding us of the serious stakes behind the jokes and chases, and voices like Gazelle, the pop star turned cultural icon, remain, with Shakira returning to lend her charisma, star power, and soulful tone to a character who symbolizes hope, unity, and expression in Zootopia's world. Beyond them, a rich tapestry of creatures, From a veteran goat officer, Bushron, voiced by John Reno, to members of influential families like the Lynxes, including Catrick Linksley and Kitty Linksley, voiced by Macaulay Culkin and Brenda Song respectively, all add distinct voices and personalities to the sprawling metropolis. Each actor brings nuance, humor, tension, or heart, reminding us that Zootopia isn't just a city of predators and prey, but a city of individuals, full of stories, contradictions, dreams. What makes this cast truly compelling, and why the film's voiceover becomes a tapestry rather than just a background, is the way familiarity and surprise blend. The returning voices of Goodwin, Bateman, Elba, Shakira, and others ground us in the world we loved. Their presence is a promise. We know these streets, but the newcomers, Ke Huy Quan, Quinta Brunson, Fortune Feimster, Jean Reno, Macaulay Culkin, Brenda Song, throw the doors wide open, shaking the foundation, challenging what we think we know about Zootopia and its boundaries. In short, Zootopia